Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Pru, for joining us. I feel like I've gained a friend in you this year, which I appreciate, meeting great leaders, meeting people that are movers and shakers in their own field. So we're going to reflect on the current series, Building Profitable Businesses and Sustainable Organizations. However, before we do that, please introduce yourself. Let the members of the LPG community get to know you better because I know you better and I think you're awesome.
Mhm.
Give them a chance to know you better.
Okay, thanks, Mabongi, for giving me this opportunity. I'll start by saying, who am I? I'm Dr. Prudence Zanele Buthelezi, wellness Dr. Pru. I'm a medical doctor, having my own practice from since 2007 up to this. So I'm already 18 years in the industry and also a sessional doctor in the public sector for two hospitals and a clinic. Most people, they ask me why you still work in the hospital. We know the shortage of doctors, especially doctors with experience. I'm 18 years in the industry. So I feel like those who are poor, who cannot afford my services in the private sector, they still have to get contact with me. They still have to feel being touched by Dr. Pru. Hence, I'm still servicing in the public sector. I'm also a co-founder of the association that is called National Healthcare Professional Association, which is the first association in South Africa to unite all health professionals under one umbrella, fighting for their rights. As you can look back in 2017, where we started what we call Section 59 investigation, which was more of racial cases that were happening in the Black healthcare professionals. I'll go deeper maybe as we
Please, that's
continue
what I was
the
just
topic.
about to say. We would need to know a little bit about that.
Yeah. And I'm also an author of the book that is called Fortitude, which is about having courage when you're in difficulties. It's more about my sister who was hit by the car at the age of 9 years, and all her dreams of becoming a doctor became shattered, especially for parents who are raising children with special needs. As I am the doctor, but I am the mom of a son with special needs. So the book is all about that, supporting parents who are raising children with special needs, because I understand they are going through depression, not coping, cannot find all the schools for their special needs children. So the book is all about that. I also I'm a CEO of Karabo Health Management, where now I do skills development for the receptionist, administrative assistants for the healthcare professionals, give business etiquette, and I also give sessions for my profession. Now I'm even spreading to other professionals, to looking at their mental health, those who are going through divorces, those who are facing tax problems. And yeah, so I'm all about giving solutions where there are problems. I think I will end there.
I love that. I love that. You know what I love about your work, s- Dr. Pru, uh, is because you not only just about working your bottom line, see patients because that's the bottom line of a doctor. See the patient, make sure you diagnose, make sure you treat, but you also are looking at solving the problems of your industry. I think that's so profound because sometimes it's hard to know, as much as you've chosen this lucrative industry that you're thinking, okay, this is where my business is, I can solve the problems here. But also those diversifying those solutions, like you're saying, now you are you're seeing that you are tapping into their wellness as well. Not only are you helping them professionally, but you also are looking at their wellness. I just think that's so broad. That is so diverse in terms of just thinking. It does look like we are sitting with a powerhouse. In fact, we are. It doesn't even look like we are sitting with a powerhouse. Dr. Pru, there's this point that came out from Mr. Bata last week when he
Mm,
was talking about choosing the lucrative sector, what makes business thrive and what makes business fail. And he touched on the idea that perhaps most of us never realize that actually all industries are lucrative. It just depends who is leading that business. And
mm.
he quoted a line from his book. I might paraphrase. He says, businesses don't fail, but individuals fail. Shall we begin our reflection just from there? What's your take on that? I've seen, I mean, I would think surgeries don't, they can't, fail, but I've seen surgeries close. So what are some of the things that you have seen in the health business sector?
I'll go back to the our background as healthcare professionals. You pass your matric and then you go to university and you do your MPCHB. Throughout the whole course, there's no way where we study about business, money, the intellectual about money. There's no way where we learn about money. Then as it become worse with us because when we there's this oath that we're taking that I'll be there for patient. It's only talking about patient, but never about you, financial well-being, and your children, how to run with your family, and so on. So that thing I think is the one that is affecting us as healthcare professionals who are going for business, especially making our private practices to be business. Then we arrive there and we drive them as a charity. Why I'm saying a charity? We feel sorry that, oh, you look at the community, they are so poor, then you start to undercharge. That's where the problem is. Most of us, we don't know what we worth and how much we should charge, you know. Then there are those who are smart. You know, when they say they see students, they will control the A student. This is true. And this is really, really, really happening. Because when I look in my field, there's somebody who's running a medical aid who doesn't know anything about treating a patient, who doesn't know about the diagnosis, or who doesn't know anything about the illness. Then she come and set the standard of saying, okay, the GPs, when you see your patient, I'm going to pay you 350. When you're a specialist, I'm going to pay you 800 rand. So in that, as healthcare professionals, we don't know how much we're worth, and we sign those contracts. And we find ourselves that, oh gosh, I've shot myself in the foot here because now you didn't count that there's rental that you need to pay. There's secretaries, your administrative assistants that you need to pay. There's electricity, there's water. Then it comes to the service that you are giving to the patient, the medication. How much are you buying that medication to give to the patient? Yourself, for 8 years, you studied how much you spend to have that information. We don't look at all those things. That's the main thing that is affecting the healthcare professionals in the private sector, not having a background about running a business, not a business, a profitable business. Because any business that you're running, it must be profitable. You cannot run a business every day you wake up in the morning, but at the end of the month, when you look at your things, they don't balance. You are every time running short. So whenever you're opening a business, you must ask yourself, is it profitable or not profitable? If it's profitable, how do I make it to be more profitable without jeopardizing the service that I'm giving? As I gave the example that now the medical aid, they come and then they detect to you that, okay, we are going to pay you 350. Then now you start to give poor service to the clients. And it's worse with us. It's the life of the patient. It's the life. If I do I'm a shortcuts in patients, I might end up doing malpractice or negligence to the patients. So this medical aid, when they're giving us little money, they can push us to do a malpractice to the patient.
So you are touching a whole lot of things. I think the first thing that I perhaps, let me just say, I'm talking now as, let's say, I'm a patient. In my head, when I come to your practice, I am not, I don't necessarily think about what it would take for you to actually diagnose me. From the person who receives me by the door, the
Yes.
assistant who takes my vitals, and then if I need X-ray, how much of that will cost you? If I need bloods, and all of that doesn't come into my head. When I come to your surgery, I'm thinking you will see me. And I think perhaps that's another thing that us patients who are paying, we need perhaps to change our minds to say,
Yes.
before the doctor actually gives me a diagnostic, a diagnosis, they are going through a whole lot of channels just to get me that right diagnosis. And how much does that cost?
Mm.
So, can I ask you something though? When a doctor opens a practice, what
Mm.
is it that is key? Like, what is it that is, if I have to say this is going to be my profitable business, what is like maybe the first top three that they need to be mindful of? You touched on the idea of them seeing communities that they serve and being aware of how much they lack.
Mhm.
What is the attitude of a doctor opening a surgery?
Okay, firstly, I will say look at the area where you are going to open the practice. Look at the area, it's important. Some of us, I'm in Nelspruit, then I decided I'm opening in Nelspruit because I'm staying in Nelspruit. But how, how is the community? How many is the population there? And how many doctors, if I'm a GP, how many GPs are already existing around? And then you cannot say in the population of a town where there's about 500 people and already there are 5 GPs and you want to put your practice there. How are you going to survive unless you are going to come with something that is too special from the other GPs? Number two, you need to have a mentor like me, somebody who's already walked this road. There are those who will ask me, Dr. Pru, if I want to start a practice, what should I do? Then I do run such workshops, as I've said, with Karabo Health Management. So I do run such workshops where I just tell and teach about how to start your own private practice. What are the things that you need to have? How to register with PHF, why is it important to register with PHF, HPCSA, you must be an independent practitioner, all those, follow the regulations because each and every profession, there are regulations that you need to follow. Make sure that you are ethically and professionally abide by this thing, follow them correctly. You need to have your tax manual, especially the tax your accountant be there when you are starting your, because that's another thing that is hitting most black businesses. Beside my industry, most of us black tax it's hitting us very bad. So it will be good when you start your practice. There's a tax, your tax accountant, and you must learn because that's another thing that we don't understand, Mabon. You see sometimes a patient, they will come to me and say, Dr. Marangfuna, when I want you to take out my bone, maybe he has a bone fracture, what I want you to heal me for that. The doctors, they differ. We know there's an orthopedics, there's a gynecologist, we differ. The same as accountant, they differ. So you must look for the one who's a tax practitioner, not anyone who a book, but a bookkeeper or what, because there's a different, and that's what is hitting us most. You find somebody just a bookkeeper, she doesn't do your books very well. Then you find the text is on it's hitting you now. I've already said it that we make sure that we follow all the regulations. If there's BHF, there's HPCSA, you make sure that you are registered correctly, because so that you don't find yourself being running something and then saying you are a bogus on that field. So follow all the steps that are needed. So those are the three main things. And your accountant, and have your contracts, your lawyers, the labor laws, know them. Those people that you are hiring, know them. When you have to fire them, what I must follow before I fire them, what's happening when they steal in my practice, how am I going to regulate them? Have those rules also written in black and white. Those are the things that you need to know. Those are the other things that they are hitting us in black businesses. You just think, no, she did wrong. You fire them, then they take you to labor court. Then you find yourself that you're in the wrong side. So I think those three things, they are the measures that you need before you start opening your practice.
I love what you've touched on in terms of regulations, because they're quite complex. It's unlike when you are just practicing at a public sector, and your HR is responsible for all those compliances. Now you are the owner of the business, and you are responsible for those regulate the compliances that need to be in place. So can you share just some of the hindrances when it comes to compliances? I know that sometimes they take a while when you're applying and they need things to be in place. And sometimes you can't open the practice unless they are in place. Some of those things. Can you touch on that before we go back to what you touched on when you were introducing yourself, in terms of that whole Black doctors? I think there was even an article around it, because you were in just representing this demographic, just making sure that Black doctors are not ill-treated. They're treated with dignity as well as the other races. So
Okay.
I know that there is that tendency, if you are not competent in terms of understanding some of the regulations and you think they are not important. So perhaps I want you to highlight things that are key, that you can't compromise as a doctor when you start your business.
Okay. The first one is you must make sure that you have a practice number, because you cannot practice without having a practice number. So you must be registered with a BHF and have that practice number. Number two, you have to be a registered doctor with HPCSA. And you must know all the ethical rules, because there are booklets one up to, until I think up to 13 or 12 booklets with ethics that you need to learn. When I'm starting my practice, what do I need to write in my door? Do I write Ezempilo Medical Center, or do I write Dr.? It's important. What does HPCSA says about that? Those things you cannot say, overlook them. Because once HPCSAs come behind you, they won't say you were ignorant or what. You are wrong. So those are the things that you need to follow. Read the ethics and that are in the HPCSA booklets. And then, as I've already said it, that, okay, you will know that there will be a cash patient that will come with the cash. And there are those who are coming with the medical aid. Like in our profession, most of our patients, they come with medical aid. It's very, very few patients who come with cash. Then you must understand the contracts that you are signing with medical aid, because there are contracts that we call a network doctor, if you are becoming their network doctor, or you are going to be non-network doctor. Non-network doctor, that means now we are going to do your own things at your own time. No one is telling you. I always say, when you are a network doctor, you are controlled by the medical aids, because now they also have their rules that they wrote as their network doctor that you need to follow. If they say to you, you are a GP, you are going to see our patient, all our female patients, and you are going to do the pap smear for free, you have no choice to charge them on the side. You've signed that contract, so you must follow that contract that you are going, the pap smear falls under consultation. But if I'm a non-contract, a non-network doctor, then I'm able to tell my patient that my consultation is 800 rand. When you want the pap smear, is 250. You see, so you are free to do whatever. So you must understand those things. What was pushing us to do Section 59 investigation? The Section 59 investigation, it says when patient they come to see me and I'm claiming from the medical aid, and the medical aid is querying my claim, it should do that in less than 3 months. And number two, it should make sure that whatever they are querying, they write it down. That okay, we are querying that your this is not. We are querying it. Then can you please respond? But what was happening now is that the medical aid, they will come hiding cameras in our practices, of which I believe in the criminal act. It's not right that you come and you shoot somebody in their business, you know. And then number two is that when they find out, I'll give examples that a doctor has claimed a high amount drug than the one that she's ordering. It's illegal, really. It's wrong. Most doctors, they don't know that. They only know that I'm giving patient Flagyl, but did you buy Flagyl, the original drug, or you bought the generic of that drug? So when you are claiming now and you are claiming the original drug, and when you give the patient the generic, it's illegal, it's wrong. Doctors, they don't know that. Then they will find themselves now in the wrong side of the medical aid, what they call they call it the name will come. It's abuse of medical aid and fraud of medical aid. So they will want to find out where are you falling within this. So what was happening is that where they come with the camera, they find you doing then there's this what we call throwback. When I talk about the throwback, they will say, okay, Dr. Teles, you opened your practice in 2007. And now we came to your practice and we find that you are claiming Rocephin instead of Kepriazone and so on and so on. You are owing us, and then they will thumbs up now that you are owing us 3 million. You are owing us 2 million. There are some who are owing back medical, it's 5 million. Then they will say to you, sign this acknowledgement of debts. And you don't want to sign things, they're in black and white. Even if they take you to court, it's in black and white, you have signed. So most of them, they didn't know what they are signing, what is happening. Then they find out that now every month, the medical aid you see patient, they take back the money. You are working, you are seeing patient, but you don't have money at the end of the month. And most healthcare professionals, they didn't know this until when we started to fight as National Healthcare Professional Association about the Section 59, the clawback of money from the healthcare professionals by the medical aid. And remember, when they take back this money, where did the medical aid get the aid getting the money? From the patient. Is that money that they are taking from us going back to the patients? No. Who's checking that? Who's investigating that? No one.
It sounds so complicated when you are, explaining it now. I'm just thinking now, obviously, what I know is from the movies, when you see those medical series and you look at how the pharmaceuticals would come and present to doctors, what are the new medications, what are the generic medications and whatnot. Most of the time, it looks like there's not necessarily a time set for that because they're also on their own clock And they're also just, I mean, practices do not have the luxury of having an on-site, pharmacist. The doctors do the dispensing. So if the doctors do not have the luxury of having a workshop of the new medication and how and all of the nitty-gritties that you're explaining, that error is bound to happen. And the patient doesn't
Mm.
even know.
Yes. They
Yeah,
don't know. And then you find out sometimes they tell patients that you no longer go to Dr. Prudence. And what does the Bill of Rights says? You have a right to see whoever you want to see, you to consult to any doctor.
yeah,
Now they are stopping you to get a service from the doctor that you want. They tell you, no, you cannot see this doctor. This is our doctors. You
yeah,
see?
yeah.
And
So what
another
what
thing,
would have
sometimes
been what would have been the ideal? Is it querying and then waiting for the 3 months that you talked about for the doctor to investigate and respond?
there will be no investigation. They will tell you that you have done this, you are wrong. Some they will tell them that you are seeing 55 patients while doctors around you they see 20. Where do you get this 55? Helping us.
Wow.
So now you'll start to say, let me reduce my number. Sometimes they'll say, no, you doctor, you nebulize too much. Patient, why are you nebulizing too much? You are owing us. So now you start to, hey, I don't want to nebulize this patient. You now have to say, oh, I must nebulize this one, not this one. Now you play, what can I say? You work, but with your toes up. That
Yeah,
I mustn't. So what should I do? What the medical aid wants me to do? But what does also my patient needs in front of me? If I give that to the patient, the medical aid won't pay me. So then that's when you find your oath now dominates your business and you'll be like, let me just do it for the patient's sake. Then you
sure,
are running a practice that is not profitable.
sure. You know what? You are helping us as patients to actually be mindful of these things because there's
Hmm.
always, I mean, it's still there that the doctors make money. That's it.
No, no,
Doctors
no,
make money out of us. We don't
no.
necessarily
You,
think that there are
you,
challenges in the background, like you're explaining. So that's
you
very
you
good.
should check even your statement. How much do they pay the doctor? Even if you go to the hospital, I hear others, oh, the gynae took for 400,000 a gynae. Go and check and read that statement. That 400 is not for the gynae. It's for
Yeah,
the hospital. And it goes to the hospital. The C group, not the A1. Look at your statement carefully and read it. Sometimes you should still get the letter from your medical aid and tell us that, did you visit Dr. Butelezi? What did you do? How do you do that? What about the confidentiality of the patient and the doctor? They do get those letters. We went to visit Dr. Butelezi on this date. What was wrong with you? What did you do? What did she do? Others, if you say you did an abscess, you were doing an abscess from the patient, they will go to the patient and ask to show us where
sure.
did the doctor did that abscess. Show us. So where's
That's
the
scary.
privacy of the patient? Where is the privacy of the patient? You know.
Yeah,
So there's a lot that has been going on about this Section 59 investigation. And what is so sad is that we started it and it was shared by Advocate Toby at the CMS. You remember that also the medical aids, they are regulated by CMS.
yeah,
So CMS was the one that was leading this whole thing. But up to this day, Magumi, we haven't got our report. And the pre-report that was issued by Nogaitobi, he noticed that there is some racism that was happening. Because I, Dr. Mtilis, in my GP practice, when I do see you and I do my blood sugar, there's a needle that I prick with, there's all those things. When I'm going to claim them, the medical aid is not going to pay me. But you look at the white counterpart practice, same GP, they are going to pay him. So must I change myself to be Fandermer so that I can get paid?
That's scary because then who covers the cost of that?
The gloves, the syringes. You go
Yeah.
to the codes, there are codes that we claim with. You try to claim your gloves that you use. You ask all the GPs if they've ever claimed the gloves. But aren't we buying them? But when we're supposed to claim them, the medical aid says, no, this is a box, blah, blah, blah. They come up with this. Then you ended up not gloves, you end up not claiming your syringes, you end up not claiming your needles. But your white counterpart, she can do that.
It's tricky. Building profitable businesses and sustainable organizations. Now, my last reflection, how do we then build these medical practices that last? I have a brother-in-law who's been a doctor, I think since before I went into school. um, and he's close to retirement. He's way over 60. I mean, he does have associate doctors, but the issue is when I go to Dr. Pru, and I had my children go to Dr. Pru, and I respect her and I love her. And I've been doing this thing with Dr. Pru for 18 years. All of a sudden, Dr. Pru retires, or Dr. Pru, passes away. What happens with these businesses? What happens?
Unfortunately, with our practice, private practice, when I die, everything shuts down after 6 months. My family, they can look for a doctor up to 6 months who can buy my practice. That's it. You cannot go above that and say my family, they can hire a doctor and then the doctor can work and give them money back. No, if in private practice, it doesn't work like that. If I die with my business.
I
Unfortunately,
want
that's the sad.
I wanted to touch on that because when you're thinking, hey, there are doctors that don't want to run businesses. I'll run the business, but I'll hire the doctors. And we think that's possible. And it's not, because the practice is actually the doctor. When you do your
Yes.
registration, you register with the doctor.
That's what we were still fighting even now, because what we see, that was the law from HPCSA that you cannot hire a doctor to work under you. Even myself, I cannot hire a doctor to work for my practice or whatever. It's either it can be a locum for certain months and that's it. There's these laws. But now, because the C group, they are smart now. They went to HPCSA and they forced HPCSA to change that record. That now the private hospitals, they can hire doctors, specialists, pathologists. Now they are pushing that they can hire us. And watch, they will win that. Because blacks, we have no voice. The world is still run by the whites. I'm sorry to say that.
It will be, I think, like that for a while. And it's unfortunate that someone else would see it in a different way. But I've learned not to um I don't know, downside people's feelings. Just because in my field, I seem to have, diversity in terms of people that operate there and how they operate there, and think that other industries have been transformed as perhaps the one
Mm.
I'm in. But it's not the case. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
Unfortunately, you can see from they started with the pharmacy. Pharmacies run by the C group
Yeah.
and they hire pharmacists. Now they will build a hospital and hire us doctors.
Yet you can't hire doctors in your practice.
No, I can't.
Yeah.
Why? You even now is what we're still also fighting about. You go to those big white pharmacy, a big white pharmacy. You find that there's a small clinic there they are using the same door with the pharmacy there at the back. You know those things. But me, Dr. Pru, I cannot open my small pharmacy in my practice. Why? There are rules and regulations that they are regulating me, but they are not regulating those who are not educated or not professionals.
It's quite tricky. It's quite tricky. I do find it interesting that doctors do not have pharmacies in their practices. Because, I mean, yeah, anyway. Anyway, but I love how you've brought us into this picture that you have chosen an industry. We know it's lucrative. We want the jockey to win because it's all
Mm,
on the person who drives the business. And I love that you are also involved in helping people, mentoring people in your field. And I love the idea also of looking around their wellness, because what will sustain people and cause them to overcome all these challenges is when they're well, mentally well,
mm,
physically well,
mm.
to face their day-to-day challenges. So thank you so much, Dr. Pru. I appreciate you and your insight and your, what do we call this? Umlilo, that oomph to actually stand up against things that are injustices. Sometimes we're so afraid to do that, especially you thinking you still need these medical aids to pay you. You still need,
Mm,
people, to participate with you, to, collaborate with you, to work within the two organizations that you are running. Sometimes we're too
mm.
afraid to actually voice out and say, this is injustice, just because we don't want to lose that. So thank you so much for being brave. I was very, very proud to see that acknowledgement from one of the medical aides that you brought to the table and say, hey, let's talk about this. This is not on, which means you did that with all, respect and honor. That's why they couldn't ignore you, you know?
Yes, that's why I always emphasize to my colleagues that now I'm more about teaching them so that they do good, because so that you avoid your practice to be red flagged by the medical aid about fraud, waste, and abuse of medical aid. Now I will teach you that don't do this, don't do that, because
Yeah,
this will fall under this. And I love medical aid like James, Discover, who came and assisted me that no, we will help you to
yeah,
teach them. So
yeah,
they do come and in my workshop for Garabo Health Management to teach them better that these are the things that we mark, that no,
yeah,
your practice, we then reflect it. So I am grateful that no, they came and say, no, we'll help you to
yeah,
educate your colleagues. So my colleagues, beware, especially when you want to go to private practice, the things that I've mentioned and how to make your business profitable. Sometimes I even call those that I see that they are successful in the business. How are they doing it? Then I call them so that they can tell us more about how to run our businesses to be a profitable one. So they should just make sure that they follow me and attend my workshops.
and you are always putting it out there on social media. I see you on Facebook, I see you on Instagram, I see you on YouTube. There's a lot of things that you put out that are very useful. So thank you so much, Dr. Pru. uh, Dr.
Awesome.
Prudence Buthelezi. I'm saying it fully so that people are able to follow you. Thank you so much. That was the reflection from our series, Building Profitable Businesses and Sustainable Organizations. Tomorrow we have That's Thursday the 10th. We have Karen talking about AI concept to cash flow. Let's see. I wonder, do you have anything around AI that you've already implementing in your practice?
Uh,
Are
not
you
really
still
that I
thinking
see,
about it?
I'm still
Not
thinking.
yet.
The only thing that I can tell you is the tele consultation,
Yeah.
because now people they are going for that. It's very, very hard because we were taught of touching the patient. The
Yes.
tele consultation one, it's one of the AI that we need to master in our industry.
Yeah.
There are other things. The gynaes, they will tell you about the what is it? Their laparoscopy that they no longer open the patient. They will tell you that. So there is a lot that is changing also in our industry that
Yeah.
we also need to learn and adapt to it.
I was shocked to hear of that teleconsultation. I'm telling you, I got shocked. There's I think I was looking at the ad for the medical aid that we cover this much for 200 rand a month, and I'm like, what? What is that?
Mhm.
Then I discovered it was tele consultations, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. So thank you so much. We will keep in touch, and I'll now stop my recording.